Fjord Explorer is the newest water coaster in Europe. Located at La Pal, this is a nicely themed experience with some exciting coaster maneuvers and a large final splash. But how does it stack up to the other water coasters out there? Find out in this review. The Mack water coaster has been around since the late 1990s. The first water coaster of any kind opened in France in 2021. This will be Krampus Expedition at Nigloland. Another French theme park in La Pal was simultaneously planning a Mack water coaster. When it was originally announced back in 2019, it was envisioned as a near clone of Europa Park's Atlantica Super Splash. But in 2021, the park provided an update that would be an entirely custom water coaster. The ride finally opened in 2024 and was named Fjord Explorer. This will be the park's second coaster from Mack, following the success of La Twist. Fjord Explorer is located towards the back of the amusement area of the park, and I love the presentation. The station and slower portions have some large Scandinavian-themed buildings. The rest of the ride has some nice landscaping, both in terms of greenery and rockwork. Then most impressively, the finale shoots through a shed with cascading water alongside it. Then the large splash is a spectacle for both riders and onlookers. And as a bonus, the ride has a nice custom soundtrack from Audioglazer. The physical ride itself looks good too. The royal blue track is fresh, and the white and red boats really pop against everything else. Those boats look similar to the other Mack water coasters. They each seat a max of 8 riders, as they have 4 rows of 2. There are 6 boats in total, and if all are in use, it has a theoretical capacity of 850 riders per hour. I believe that makes it the park's highest capacity coaster. While the coaster has modest waits in the cooler spring months, it frequently had one of the park's longest waits in the summer months. The warmer weather and higher crowds were large contributors. On those days, the queues hovered around the 30 to 60 minute mark for this ride. So what are the best ways to avoid a long wait? 1. Head here immediately at park open. Since the coaster is quite a ways from the main entrance, most guests choose to start with a ride closer to the front of the park. People will start to flood this ride an hour after opening though. 2. Ride this during the last 1 or 2 hours of the day. A lot of queues at this park halved during the final 1 or 2 hours. 3. This coaster, like many at La Pal, has a single rider line. I did not know about these prior to my visit, but they were a huge time saver. I didn't see many people using them, and that may have been due to a lack of signage. There often was just a small sign at the end of the exit ramp. I never had to wait more than 5 minutes for Fjord Explorer doing this. 4. This coaster is part of the park's Rapid Sensations Skip the Line Pass. For €20 per person, you can skip the line at each major attraction once. From what I saw with Fjord Explorer, guests using this pass had first choice of seats, and they typically selected the front row. Then people admitted from standby had to pick any of the remaining seats. I thought the forces felt identical across the boat, but where you sat had a major impact how wet you'd get. With most water coasters, the front is the wettest seat by far. It's actually the opposite with this one. The back is significantly more soaking. Thankfully, it's only your upper body that gets drenched. Your shoes will come off dry due to the splash dynamics and the boat design. Meanwhile, those in front just get a thorough misting. Riders are secured by individual U-shaped lap bars. These are similar to what you'll find on Mack's other water coasters. They are simple but comfortable. Once checked, the boat has an exciting dispatch sequence. Multicolored lights flash, and the boat moves forward to an epic adventure score. This is really cool for those on board and those waiting in the station for the next boat. The coaster begins with a slow floating section past some colorful themed buildings and crates. Then, you pass a large lighthouse and get a great view of the final splashdown. I really appreciate how La Pal dressed up the slower sections of the ride, so it was always engaging. This part can drag out on some other water coasters if there's a lack of theming or landscaping. You then ascend the 89-foot or 28-meter tall lift hill. While it is the park's tallest ride, the views are relatively limited due to all this park's tree coverage. Once at the top, there's a large straight drop. This usually offers some good floater airtime on the other water coasters, particularly on the installations like Poseidon at Europa Park that take a really long time to reach their max angle of descent. However, Fjord Explorer's drop is profiled more similarly to a drop in a log flume. You rapidly reach the max angle of descent. No airtime, but you do build up solid speed. Next is a banked turnaround. It's not overly exciting in my opinion. It does not have the positive G's or laterals I was looking for. This is followed by a little speed hill. It offers some very weak floater airtime, and more impressively, a nice head chopper with the ride's first drop. This is the first of a few near misses on this coaster. Then comes this ride's most talked about element, the large wave turn. It is downright bizarre to see one of these in a water coaster, but it's not super forceful. Due to its height, you bleed off a lot of speed, so there are no negative G's. The most thrilling aspect is the head choppers with the supports. You then dive downwards through a shed. It is a super tight fit, and you get a decent burst of positive G's. This is followed by a speed hill through a larger shed. No airtime here, but the visuals once again make it memorable. You have a rotating water wheel and the aforementioned cascading water alongside you. Then comes the splash. It is large in footprint. Again, those in front get a deep misting, but those in back will get very wet. You then slowly float past the observation platform in midway. You then return to the station, ending the 1,631 foot, or 497 meter long experience. That is not a lot of track length, but the overall duration is closer to 3 minutes due to the slower sections. This is fine overall in the grand scheme of roller coasters, but is still a bit on the shorter side relative to the other water coasters, especially considering how brisk the pacing is on the coaster section. Now what about the smoothness? A lot of Mack water coasters have a shuffle on the turns and directional changes. I was optimistic Fjord Explorer could be smoother considering it's newer, and since the layout featured more dynamic elements. But alas, it had the same shake. Not a deal breaker by any means, but you'll definitely notice it and feel it. So what would I rate Fjord Explorer? I would give this coaster a 6 out of 10. This is a decent water coaster. I really like the theming, and I appreciate the pacing and the more daring banked maneuvers, even if they don't all hit. But this one also has a shuffle on the turns, and it lacks a standout drop like some other installations. Still, in the grand scheme of things, this is a well above average water ride. So those are my thoughts on Fjord Explorer at Nepal. What are your thoughts on this water coaster? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.